Hey guys, it's John Mulligan with Primal Divide. What I'm going to do is put together a little series of videos using the Avian X decoys and show you 3 basic decoy setups that I'll use in the spring for turkeys. So on the first decoy setup that I'm going to do is what I call the golden triangle. It's a throwback to the Phil Jackson days and the Chicago Bulls. Basically, we're putting the decoys in a triangle pattern. What I like to do in this one is 2 feeding hens and 1 jake. I will position the 2 feeding hens closer to where I think the tom's going to come in from. So it's kind of an upside down triangle as to where I'm going to be set up at. I want to put the jake closest to me, and the theory is if the tom comes in from the sides or from the front, he's going to be a little less intimidated to basically run into the jake first, because sometimes jakes can get a little aggressive and the toms just don't want to fight. But if you have 2 feeding hens out in front, he can go ahead and at least commit to them and maybe thinking he's going to steal one of the girls away from the jake. Now if he wants to get aggressive, that's fine. He can go ahead and come on in closer, and then we'll run into that situation where he ends up having to flog the jake or fight the jake or something like that. I will have the hens positioned in any way that you want, but I definitely want the jake facing me. Again, the jake's going to be a little bit more of a target if the tom can come in and approach the jake from the backside. So I'm going to show you basically what this looks like overhead as well. Alright, so on the second setup that I'm going to recommend is what I call a dominant tom setup. If you've got a super dominant tom that's super aggressive, then go ahead and run the full strutter decoy. So Avian has the strutter decoy that you can actually put on some shield feathers on the side. It comes with a fan that you can use, or you could use your own real fan at home, whether it be from an old fan mount or something like that. It's got a little clip on the back side that you can use. They also have a change out head. So when you have the red, blue, and white head, it's a little more subdominant. When you go to an all white head, it's a really dominant tom. So again, it just all depends on how dominant of a setup you want to run in this situation. But not all toms want to come in and fight. You know, they're lovers, they're not fighters. But some of them, they just simply want to fight, and they're really aggressive. Especially, like I said, if they're the dominant tom of that property and they know that they are, if they see another tom and he's got 2 hens and he's flexing like this in the middle of the field, they're going to be apt to want to come in and challenge him. Again, you can change out heads if you want to be dominant or super dominant. So the third setup that I'm going to recommend for your decoys is the weary tom setup. If you've got a tom that's been beat up by toms, jakes, he's been harassed around, had his butt whooped a few times, he's not looking for a fight, he's just looking for the ladies. So in this situation, I've got 2 feeding hens set up and I have 1 upright hen. No toms, no jakes, same triangle pattern that I've always set up before, and I might shift that triangle around, but the thing is I like to kind of spread it out, make sure at least 1 of them or 2 of them are in a real high visibility area. So if you're at the top of a field, or if you've got a logging road, make sure 1 of them is at the end of a logging road, so any way they look down, they'll be able to catch a glimpse of one of those decoys. But this is a good setup for those times that you just, especially during the late season, gets later into the year, they've been fighting, they're done fighting, they don't want to fight anymore, they're not as aggressive. This works out really well. So there's a couple of decoy setups. Those are the 3 that I most commonly use, especially the golden triangle with the jake and the hen. The one thing that I left out is if you have a breeder hen, you can throw that up underneath there under that jake or that strutter. If you've got really tall grass where they're not going to be able to see it, don't even worry with it. I don't think it's as important, but if you're in a real low field or the birds are up top and can look down and see, then go ahead and throw a breeder in there. It definitely doesn't hurt.